Words are not just sounds, they are spiritual forces that shape destinies, connect us to the divine, and impact generations. In the Bantu tradition, every spoken word carries energy, influencing not only the speaker, but also the spiritual and physical world around them. Mikhail Massa. The Power of Words, a Bantu Spiritual Perspective. Words are spiritual forces. They shape reality, determine destinies, and connect us to the divine. In the Bantu tradition, words are more than mere sounds. They carry life or death, blessings or curses, and have the power to bind or set free. Every spoken word releases energy into the spiritual realm, affecting generations to come. We use words for different purposes, at work, in communication, and in expressing desires. If one wants something, they must clearly state it. For example, if a person needs $10 but only says they need money, they may receive less than they require. This principle applies to spiritual matters as well. When the Most High, Tata Nzambi, spoke to his people, his words carried a profound spiritual background. He knew what was beneficial for them, the purpose behind his commands, and the consequences of disobedience. Just as a mother or father instructs their children, teaching them their origins, guiding them on what to do and what to avoid, so too did Tata Nzambi communicate his divine wisdom. These were not mere words, but teachings born from experience, passed down from generation to generation. Curses, like blessings, travel through words and actions, moving across generations. The spiritual impact of words and curses. To be wicked is not simply to ignore commandments. Many who have never killed are still wicked. The Bible and life itself teach the importance of words and the generational impact of spiritual curses. Some people adhere to societal and governmental laws yet remain spiritually corrupt because they inherit negative spirits from past generations. The human heart, shaped by ancestral spirits, determines a person's path. That is why Tata Nzambi separated nations and assigned them their own spiritual guidance. Deuteronomy 32:8. In Bantu wisdom, words manifest into reality. What is spoken comes into existence. Many nations share the same spirits and mindsets, either in righteousness or wickedness. The spirit behind an individual dictates their actions. For example, consider the parable of the prodigal son, Luke 15 verse 11 to 32. One son followed the commandments while the other sought pleasure. Yet when the lost son returned, the father celebrated him because his spirit had learned wisdom. He strayed but ultimately found truth, and that spiritual awakening was more significant than blind obedience. Joseph and the spiritual strength to overcome. A powerful example of spiritual resilience is the story of Joseph. The children of Israel, his 11 brothers, sold him into slavery, driven by jealousy. They too followed the commandments, yet the spirit within them was corrupt. They allowed wickedness to take hold, leading them to betray their own flesh and blood. However, Joseph remained spiritually strong. His faith and alignment with Tata Nzambi grew in Egypt, allowing him not only to save his brothers, but also to save an entire nation. Genesis 37-50. This teaches us that simply keeping commandments is not enough. Many people today obey the laws of their governments, but still harbor evil spirits. Some have sold their souls and their families for money, power, or influence. Such generational curses extend beyond one individual, affecting entire lineages. One can outwardly keep commandments but still fail spiritually because their heart and spirit are not right. That is why prophets, disciples, and healers were sent to cleanse people of spiritual afflictions such as leprosy, generational sickness, and demonic possession. Even in the spiritual realm, people seek prayers to break these bonds. There are letters, spiritual contracts that tie individuals back to their families, nations, and tribes, connecting them either to blessings or to curses. The power of spoken words can break or reinforce these spiritual ties. The awakening of the Bantu spirit. Our Bantu ancestors knew righteousness before the Bible reached them. The spirit of Tata Nzambi was within them, guiding them toward good. They understood morality not through written laws, but through spiritual connection. Many prophets in the Bible sinned, yet they remained chosen because of their alignment with the divine mission. The Bible does not record all their actions, as it presents only a surface-level account of their lives. Moses, raised in Pharaoh's palace, shared in their customs. But when the spirit of Tata Nzambi moved within him, he rejected Egypt's ways and stood with his people. Though he killed an Egyptian, Tata Nzambi still lifted him as a leader. It was not about outward actions alone, but about the spirit within him. Exodus 2:11-12. Similarly, King David committed sins yet remained favored by Tata Nzambi because his heart was aligned with divine purpose. 1 Samuel 13:14. Solomon, for example, received divine wisdom and could even bind spirits. 1 Kings 4:29-34. Yet, when he pursued foreign gods, he fell into disfavor. Samson possessed great strength, but his fall came when he compromised his spiritual connection. Judges 16 verse 17-21. Throughout history, people had to be spiritually awakened to understand righteousness. They did not automatically cease sinning, but grew in divine wisdom over time. The power of parental blessings and curses. A blessing or a curse from a mother or father can bind a person spiritually. If a curse does not manifest in the individual, it can carry forward to their children and future generations. Just as blessings pass through generations, so too do curses. This is why one must choose their words wisely. Proverbs 18 verse 21 states, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." The words spoken over a person can determine their destiny. Many people suffer in life without knowing that they are under ancestral curses. A father's words can shape his children's fate, just as a mother's blessings can bring prosperity. This principle can be seen in Jacob's blessing of his sons, Genesis 49, where he spoke prophetic destinies over them, some blessed and others burdened. Look at the prophecies written in the Bible against nations: earthquakes, the fall of Edom, and other divine judgments, Obadiah 1:1-4, Matthew 24:7. These are all words with deep spiritual backgrounds. Prophecies are spiritual decrees that shape reality. The destruction of wicked nations was spoken into existence long before it happened. Just as the Most High declared blessings over Israel, he also spoke judgments against those who oppressed his people. African proverbs reflecting spiritual truth. A word spoken cannot be taken back, it shapes reality. A child who does not listen to the elders will suffer from the consequences of ignorance. Spirits travel through generations. An ancestor's blessing or curse follows their lineage. The river may change course, but it still flows to the ocean. When the elders speak, the wise listen. A tree with strong roots will not fall in the storm. Conclusion. Spiritual inheritance shapes our lives. Words carry the power to bless or curse. Tata Nzambi's commandments are not just rules, but spiritual decrees that shape destinies. Bantu ancestors knew righteousness not from a book, but from divine connection. To awaken spiritually, one must recognize the power of words, the influence of ancestral spirits, and the eternal wisdom of Tata Nzambi. Choose your words wisely, for they create the reality of tomorrow. Recognize the prophecies written in the Bible. They are not mere predictions, but spiritual laws in action. Earthquakes, the fall of nations, and the downfall of Edom were all spoken before they happened. Just as blessings are spoken into existence, so too are judgments. Our words are the seeds of our future. What we speak today will manifest in the generations to come. The hidden forces behind words. Every word spoken carries an unseen force. Words act as keys, unlocking doors of blessings or destruction. In many African spiritual traditions, the elders understood that speaking ill of someone could curse them, just as speaking life into a child could uplift their future. That is why oral traditions and storytelling played a crucial role, not just as a means of communication, but as a way of preserving spiritual truths. The spiritual power of words is reflected in ancient rituals, where names held meaning and blessings were given with great care. In the past, when a child was born, their name was chosen based on prophetic insight. This name was not merely an identity, but a destiny. In contrast, today, many people name their children without considering the spiritual consequences. The same applies to nicknames and negative self-talk. When people call themselves weak, poor, or lost, they unknowingly manifest that reality. The power of declarations and affirmations. Just as curses carry weight, so do positive affirmations and blessings. That is why in the Bantu tradition, prayers and declarations were made at sunrise, speaking protection and success over one's household. Even in the biblical tradition, Tata Nzambi demonstrated the power of declarations. He said, "Let there be light," and light came into existence. This shows that creation itself was formed through spoken words. Many successful people, knowingly or unknowingly, use this principle by speaking affirmations over their lives. In the same way, spiritual leaders, prophets, and wise elders have long understood that speaking healing, prosperity, and divine favor brings those things into existence. The more one declares righteousness, the more they align with divine purpose. Breaking generational curses through words. Many people suffer not because of their own actions, but because of spoken words passed down from past generations. Some families have inherited struggles not because of fate, but because of negative declarations made over their lineage. For example, a father who tells his child, "You will never succeed," may unknowingly place a spiritual burden on them. Conversely, a mother who blesses her child and speaks words of encouragement plants seeds of greatness in their future. This is why spiritual healing often involves renouncing past curses and declaring new blessings. Many traditional African priests and prophets perform rituals where negative words are broken, and the afflicted person is given new words of empowerment to replace the old ones. In Christianity, Yeshua, Jesus, performed the same function, healing people not just physically but spiritually by breaking negative decrees over their lives. When he cast out demons, he used words. When he healed the sick, he spoke life into them. This aligns with Bantu spiritual knowledge, where words are seen as medicine for the soul. Spiritual authority and the words of prophets. Prophets and spiritual leaders throughout history have used words to shift nations. Moses spoke and commanded plagues upon Egypt. Elijah called down fire from heaven. Yeshua rebuked the storm and it obeyed him. The spoken word carries an authority that moves the spiritual world. Today, many people read these stories without understanding their spiritual significance. These were not just historical events, but demonstrations of a universal law, the law that words shape reality. This law applies to every person, regardless of their awareness of it. The role of music, poetry, and oral traditions. Words do not only manifest through speech, but also through song and poetry. In Bantu culture, praise songs were used to elevate leaders, inspire warriors, and invoke divine protection. Even today, many people listen to music without realizing the spiritual impact of the lyrics. A song that repeatedly speaks of struggle, pain, or death can program the mind to attract those very things. On the other hand, songs of victory, joy, and power can lift the spirit and bring positive change. This is why traditional griots, poets, and elders were highly respected. They understood that the words they spoke carried a responsibility. They could either heal a community or bring destruction. Practical ways to harness the power of words. Speak life daily. Every morning declare success, health, and wisdom over your life and family. Reject negative words. If someone speaks ill over you, counter it with a declaration of positivity. Bless your children and loved ones. Speak encouragement, strength, and prosperity into their lives. Be mindful of your speech. Avoid speaking negatively about yourself or others, as it can manifest into reality. Use prayer and meditation. Align your words with divine purpose through prayer, chanting, or spiritual affirmations. Break generational curses. If you suspect that negative words have been spoken over your lineage, renounce them and declare new blessings.